If you're a tired parent who wishes you could make sense of your baby's sleep so you can support sleep with confidence and without sleep training, then I've got some news to share with you. Enrollment in the Confident and Connected Baby Sleep Program is open. This is an online sleep coaching group specifically for parents like you who want to have holistic strategies to help sleep become easier. In this program, we cover the basics of baby sleep development, attachment-based strategies that don't require separation, how to set up a routine or rhythm to your day and bedtime to make sleep easier. We explore temperament, the sensory system, and health issues that impact sleep. And we talk about how to take care of yourself while you take care of your baby's sleep. In the Confident and Connected Baby Sleep Program, I provide live coaching every week and a community of amazing parents who understand the challenges and rewards of responsive, holistic sleep parenting. This is a 12-plus month program. This means that I'm supporting you through the sleep challenges you're having now, and I get to be your sleep coach in your back pocket for whenever you hit a bump in the road along the way. Now, this last part is important. For the month of September, this program has a discount and has an option to join for just 2 months for a lower enrollment. So if you're ready to stop throwing spaghetti at the wall, trying to make sense of your baby's sleep without sleep training, the next step to do is book a call with me to talk about whether this is the right fit for you. You can book a call at familysleep.ca/contact. And without further ado, let's jump into this week's episode where we are talking all about meeting the need of the baby who's in front of you. I find so often we have this idea of what sleep should look like, and therefore we try to shape it and push it and drag it into what we think should be happening with sleep. And that can be met with a lot of resistance, not just from our babies, but from us too, because we are trying to use strategies that we know deep down are not a good fit for our baby or are not a good fit for our situation. And yet we try harder and harder and harder to make these strategies work because we have this idea that it's supposed to look this way and it doesn't, and therefore I've got to do something to change it. And we're going to talk in this episode all about why starting with your baby's basic needs, what is it that they need to sleep well, is a wonderful place to start. So let's jump in. Welcome to the Baby Sleep Connection, a podcast that explores baby sleep and more through the lens of attachment and development. I'm your host, Heather Boyd. I'm a mom of 3, an occupational therapist, and a certified infant and family sleep specialist. If you are a tired parent who wants to support your baby's sleep holistically, keep listening as we delve into approaches that go well beyond the usual strategies of wake windows and bedtime routines. Your baby's sleep is connected with so much more. I want to talk about why we as parents, when we are swimming in self-doubt and discouragement over sleep, we're trying to throw all that spaghetti at the wall, why we should start with meeting the need of our baby as it is in front of us, raw, unfiltered. And we're delving into the reasons why we should start there, and then some of the strategies around the way that you can meet that need. When we lean into the need to meet what is there, the information becomes much more clear about what it is that works. So often with parents, I find that they are trying to fit their square peg baby into a round hole of sleep schedules, or putting them down drowsy but awake, or not nursing to sleep. And when we do that, it builds up a ton of resistance because we're trying to make it look a certain way, and our baby is responding with, ugh, this doesn't really work for me right now. Can you just give me what my body needs? Just give me the basics right now to make sleep as easy as possible. When we lean into that, one of the things that parents will tell me is they worry that they're going to start bad habits with that. And I say, just put on a curiosity hat. Meet the need as fully as you can to gather information about what makes sleep easier. When we get into resistance about meeting this need, it's like we're pushing in one direction and our babies are pulling, like trying to pull us in the other. And it ends up making us feel like we're working harder and harder and harder to get sleep to work a certain way, instead of just gathering the information by giving our babies what they need to make sleep the easiest possible. When you have that information, what often becomes clear is answers to questions like, What is it your baby needs to fall asleep most easily? What is it that helps them feel safe? Right? Because often our question is, how can we make sleep better? But if we flip that around and say, what is it that helps my baby feel safe? That resistance can melt away. How can I meet this need in a sustainable way? Right? So we know that parenting is exhausting in the first few years. Our sleep deprivation and sleep debt are building up. Our babies are constantly changing, and the way that their needs are being expressed are changing too. But what can we do that makes this sustainable for us? One of the other things that meeting the need helps is that it does top up sleep so that you're not working from a baby sleep debt, which makes things really confusing because your baby is cranky, they may be harder to settle, the patterns that might be emerging with their sleep get really muddy. And so being able to meet the need helps any of those patterns emerge around what your baby's circadian rhythm is, what their nap needs are during the day. Is there a pattern with wake windows? Is there a pattern with the clock? So that you can start creating a routine or flow to the day that actually does meet their sleep needs. It also means that they are more likely getting the sleep that they need so that that pattern becomes easier to see, and your baby is going to be a little bit happier. And a happy baby certainly helps a happy parent. The other thing I'd like to add is that sleep needs in general, when they are met, it creates safety for your baby's nervous system. They don't have to feel like they are in an emergency situation that threatens their survival. And that means that they can relax. And when they can relax, then all of those processes for development of motor skills, development of social skills, development of sleep skills, have room to show themselves, to unfold. When we are under threat, which means that our basic needs are not being met, this development can't unfold because the body and the nervous system is all focused on surviving. So meeting the need is a way to create safety that allows your baby to rest, and rest in the broad sense, right? Rest in their nervous system, whether that's sleep or wakefulness, it is rest. And a baby at rest has room to focus on all those amazing developmental skills that they need. So I want to talk about how it feels when you do meet that need. And I have 3 things that come up often. The first is that resistance that I talked about. The more we push around not meeting the need to create a situation that looks the way we think it should, the more resistance there is, and the more your baby is going to grab at getting from you all that they need. If you have a baby that is starting to not need to be in arms as much and you're pushing things forward a little too fast, they're going to get more clingy. They're going to want to be safe in your arms more often. I find that parents will get into the should do's, right? That when we're not meeting the need and we think it should look a certain way, we start looking at what should they be doing for napping? What should their bedtime be? How long should they be sleeping in a day? Instead of looking at what is our baby actually telling us they need? We know every baby is different, and the books are not going to tell you what your baby needs. They're at best a nice little guideline, so you know you're at least, you're in the right continent of sleep, and then you can narrow it down from there to what your baby needs. But the last thing that comes up often in the, mindset around meeting the need is that fear of developing bad habits. And I want to go back to that analogy of the hard drive that your baby starts with. The bad habit is a software problem. And it's a software problem that can be swapped out over time. If you listened to my interview with Mr. Chaz, he talks a lot about the hard drive and the song list for our parenting and the built-in programming that we end up developing in the way that we respond in disciplining our children. That software is a overall parenting analogy too, and those bad habits are not bad. They are useful to us. If you think of it as software, you're putting in that software or you're putting in that playlist, and it either works for you or it doesn't. And if it doesn't work, you swap it out for something that does. So a young baby who's nursing to sleep or needs to be in arms or is using contact sleep, that's a software condition that you're providing to meet their basic need. Over time, that will change because as babies mature, their needs change as well, and you can respond to that with, quote unquote new software, but you don't need to put that software in at the beginning to preemptively prevent a bad habit from developing. I like to say that habits aren't bad, they are something that is useful to us. So use habits, routines, rhythm to support your parenting. Change it when it stops working for you and your baby. Let's recap basically the 3 points. The first is parent the baby in front of you as they are right now. The second is that sleep is a very vulnerable state. So keep it safe. Keep it safe by not resisting the basic need that your baby has for contact or for nursing to sleep or for being in arms. You can find an easy way without trying to change the need. And the last one is, and this is an undercurrent of all this, is you're building trust. And that means they know what it feels like to feel safe. And can you imagine if that was our priority as parents, is to help our babies know what safe feels like? When babies know what safe feels like, they will carry that with them for the rest of their lives to know what it feels like to feel good, right? To walk away from an unsafe situation, to know what it feels like to be with people who accept them unconditionally, because they have grown up knowing what that feeling is. They will create that safety for themselves when they're capable, but they're not going to be capable of that for a very long time. And an example I'll give you is that as babies learn to crawl, if they are feeling safe in their environment, they will crawl away from you. But as they move away from you, that tension of that feeling vulnerable or feeling unsafe starts to build. And what do babies do? They turn around and crawl right back into you, almost launching into your arms to go back to that feeling of safety before they venture out again. If that analogy hits well, or you recognize it, the circle of security talks about this, moving away and coming back to their safe base. It's really valuable to think of that in terms of that piece around safety. They will create that feeling of safety by coming back to you, but then they'll also know that they can create that feeling of safety in their bodies simply by self-soothing, which is a whole topic on its own that comes way later than everyone says that it does. We are looking at developing a nervous system that can get it for itself over time. But you are the one that provides that at the beginning. And when your baby knows what that feels like, they will seek that out. First from you, and then from themselves, and then as they grow older, from relationships beyond that parent-baby relationship. I'll finish off by reiterating, because it comes up often when we're talking about meeting the needs. There are no bad habits. There are habits that serve us and habits that don't. So if you can go back to this basic idea of meet the need first, it will give you the information you need on what works well, and it will give your baby that firm, safe base to know what it feels like to feel protected, to feel unconditionally loved, and to have their needs met. I hope this has helped. I would love to have you follow this podcast or share it with someone who you think would benefit from these ideas for reassurance around this kind of approach to baby sleep. I wish you the best, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now. Thank you for joining me on this episode. I do hope that you found the information and perspectives in this podcast episode helpful to you as you navigate your baby's sleep development. Of course, this podcast provides general information, and it isn't tailored to your family's reality or the specific needs of your baby. If you're concerned about your baby's sleep or health, be sure to reach out to your healthcare provider. If you're feeling exhausted and overwhelmed and you need a place to feel nurtured and reassured, you can find me on Instagram at familysleep.ca. Until next episode, look for the connections that support you and your baby.